Hello and welcome to Sami Parvez Show. Today I'm joined by Donovan Eckstrom from Alberta. We will be discussing about US presidential debate and the post Toronto St. Paul's by-election and the Trudeau's leadership. The cricket, the South African team is like a Canadian hockey team. Hockey team, like it means they always go to semi-final and final, but they cannot win. Like it has been 3 decades, they could not win. South African team is
There's
like that.
yeah, very NHL. Yeah, it's like the Oilers. And like they have, it's like you all of a sudden the stars align. Like they've always been very good, right? India is the team Canada of like international of you have all the best players.
Mhm.
And South Africa's always been like pretty good, solid, top five, pretty solid. And then all the stars will align and they
Yes.
will end up with one of the top bowlers, one of the top batsmen, and then they lose in the finals.
Mhm.
It's like they could be the favorites, and it
Yeah.
all just comes crashing down. It's wild. It's wild.
But overall, it is a sports. It could be luck, it could be your performance.
Yeah, no, that's it, and there is a lot of that too, right? It's all just like India the last decade. It's
Yeah.
like that team, those teams have always been the ones to beat, and then they always lose. It's
Yeah.
like, and so
Yeah,
20.
in 2023, like World Cup, they performed very well. It means they won all games, like I believe 10 games, and they lost the 11 one. You lost the World Cup.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. It's like the Patriots in the NFL when they had the perfect season on the line.
Yeah.
You lost in the Super Bowl, and it's like,
Mhm.
okay, like is that did you? Yeah, you could be the best.
Yeah.
In football, they call it any given Sunday, right? It's like
Mhm.
you could be the worst team going against the best team, and any given Sunday, anything can happen, and
Mhm.
that's pretty much what's been happening with India as the team to beat, and then they keep getting beaten. So, yeah, it's taken them a while but
Yeah.
they're there.
Mhm. Yeah. Yep. Okay. So now let's move to politics.
Of course, I
Yeah.
think the big one.
Did you watch presidential debate?
Oh, I did. I did, Sammy.
Did you
Boy,
did
did
you
I
fall
ever watch
asleep?
it.
Did
I
you
I
fall
uh
asleep?
I was up. I was horrified at what I was watching. It was like a car crash. You're just sort of like or like two trains hitting each other, and one is not working properly, and the other one just bowls through, and
Mhm.
it was bad. It was a bit of a disaster particularly for Biden, but for I guess everybody involved. I think CNN looked bad because their moderators didn't do anything.
Mhm.
Trump was just not listening to questions. Biden didn't
Yeah.
know what questions were being asked. It was it was not a pleasant evening. I kept but I kept watching it, which I think speaks I think to the it's why reality TV shows are so big, Sammy. You just kind of have no you just want to watch you just want to watch and see what happens. You're like, it's how can it get worse? Was really what was going through my mind. I was like, if I turn this off now, the
Mhm.
next minute might have one of the most horrible moments. And then
Mhm.
they talked about golf, and I was like, this is not optimal. None of this is good.
Yeah, but like what I did, I was watching air like very carefully, like seeing here and there. Then I left my desk and sat on my bed, just listening because it became boring. Like the Biden was talking, he did not know what he was saying, and the moderator was doing their own, and Trump was just saying what he wants to say.
Yeah, like debates I find are usually won in the first 10 minutes
Mhm.
for particularly for these kinds of things because only weird nerds like you and me
Yeah,
door like weird guys are like we're going to watch the whole thing because that's
yeah.
what we love to do. And
Mhm.
not, but not too many people. People have other things to do. People
Yeah.
have stuff to do in the evenings. I have to make dinner for my kids. I have to take my kids to a sport. Particularly school's ending, right? So you got to spend time. People don't want to just sit down and watch this stuff
Yeah.
for almost 2 hours.
Yeah.
And so debates are typically won in the first ten minutes. And really and this isn't breaking news. Biden lost that first 10 minutes. I
Yeah.
think and Trump was actually the first 10 minutes was fairly on point and on task for the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But it felt yeah, it was lost by Biden that first 10 minutes. And then it was almost as if Trump noticed that the moderators weren't going to stop him,
Yeah.
that he was just like, great, okay, listen, I'm going to do exactly what I want to do. I'm going to keep doing it. There's a billion Guatemalans invading. So many Guatemalans,
Yeah.
so many Guatemalans. They're destroying Florida. And you're like, okay, like the topic was about climate change, Mr.
Yes.
Trump. You're like, and that was at that point, it had just fallen off the rails,
Mhm.
probably about 15 minutes in.
Yeah, but it means I believe, a journalist or reporter or like somebody was saying that like it means Trump could take the opportunity to be more professional, like to show that yeah, like I mean this went bad. Yeah, we can do better from this. Like he did not take any responsibility for January 7th, like attack in Capital L. Like you could say something better than that. You were just saying, oh, they were just small group who were protesting. They were not protesting, they were invading Capital L. You should say something. Yeah, it should not happen. It means you need to show some true leadership, but Trump was not doing that thing, but he was just saying what he wants to say, and just let his followers to be uh, more angry, like so what happened on January 6th? These were just all the reactions of Trump's words, or what he tweeted, what he said. So go and wait and attack and protest and do whatever you can to make those results in my favor. And it was attack because you were the most powerful man on earth. You could do anything you want to, like any day you can send your forces anywhere. No one can say anything to you.
Yeah, no, it's a 1,000%, and that is what we're talking. It's leadership. That's really what needs. That's what's sort of missing from both sides.
Mm.
And it's watching. I was watching some older debates because that started to happen. People showed Romney against Obama, and
Mhm.
you're like, oh, they're actually talking policy.
Yeah.
It was quite remarkable. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this is
Mhm.
great, and occasionally going at each other for,
Mhm.
well, you did this, but it was quite pleasant. I was like,
Mhm.
oh, this is what you need, and some accountability taking on
Yeah.
Mitt Romney's side when discussing his time as a governor, and you had Obama taking things, his mistakes during and you're like, okay, good, there's some accountability here,
Yeah.
and there was just it was none of that. And then like after the debate, watching Biden's team try to spin it as if it wasn't as bad as it was.
Yeah.
Oh, but have you seen The Naked Gun, Sammy? Have you seen the movie The Naked Gun with
No.
Leslie Nielsen?
No. No.
So it's like it's a parody film. It's a satire of sort of police
Mhm.
films, and Leslie Nielsen stars in it. And there's a moment when he's chasing after a guy in a car, and then the guy launches into a fireworks factory, and
Mhm.
then the fireworks factory starts exploding, and then Frank Drebin, played by Leslie Nielsen, comes out and says, "Nothing to see here." As there's just explosions happening behind him, like, don't worry, everything's under control. As there's all these explosions happening, and that's kind of what it's a pretty popular GIF. You've probably seen it, but that's kind of what's happening with
Mhm.
Biden's camp, where they're saying like, "Don't
Everything is fine.
worry, he had a cold," and you're like, "Don't worry about it." As he's barely able to form sentences. Don't worry. There was a new one on Axios where they said from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., he's whip smart. He's really solid. After that, it's a little bit, he gets a little bit confused, which is a symptom of sundowning for dementia people, like patients. You're like, it's like, don't worry. He's fine. Everything's okay. 10 to 4, Biden knows what's going on. And then you just describe dementia symptoms and it's like, don't worry, fireworks exploding. So that's not good. And really, like, another thing is you're not really seeing each side talk about how great their candidate is. I think just after the debate, I was scrolling Twitter, and I don't think I saw a single right-wing figure say Trump did great. They were all saying that Biden was really bad. And similar with
it means Trump did not do well,
like it's like, and that's dire. Like, that is a dire situation right now for the president of the most powerful nation on the planet. It's at least we're not, this guy is not what you want. Yeah, you want to have that. As much as I might not be a fan of Ronald Reagan, like, at least he could talk and like had some semblance of thinking. Like Reagan versus Mondale, and you were like, Reagan did a really good job. You don't have that with these guys, and that's kind of the situation we're in.
Yeah, even though, like, I don't know, you watch that video, Jill Biden is saying, Biden, you answered all questions, Joe. You did very well. It seems like Biden was very confused. He was thinking, did I answer all questions?
You did very good. We're very proud of you, Joe. Like kindergartner. It was nuts. It's like, that's a video that you shouldn't release if you're the Democrats. But they do. They're like, look, everybody's happy. Jill's happy. And you're like, no, this is making it look really bad. You did so good, Joe. We're really proud of you. And talking slower. Goodness. Yeah, it's not good. Things are not good. Now, of course, the big discussion is Biden going to stay? Because Trump's staying on regardless. Despite him not having a great debate performance, he could still talk and still has some cognitive function. So you're like, okay, he's a liar. But like, fine. If you're now the Democrats, what's the next option? And I think he said he's going to Camp David to meet with his family.
Yeah, there was a report from NBC News last night.
And so that's an interesting thing. But like, are you going to replace? Who do you replace? So it's a similar thing with the liberals up here. It's like, who are you going to like? Nobody's Pete Buttigieg. Like, okay, like the dorkiest nerd. Like, what are you going to do? It's like, all right, Kamala Harris.
Yeah,
not a lot of people like Kamala. Not a lot of people like anybody. Gavin Newsom, like, he had a big smile on his face, though. I think he was feeling pretty excited. So yeah, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think they're gonna pull the plug on Biden? Not kill Biden, not pull the plug and as if he's on life support, but are they gonna pull the plug of his campaign? Do you think they're gonna do it, Sammy?
I don't think so. They will do it, but I was speaking with Toronto Sun columnist Warren Kinsella. He said that maybe they will replace him, because he told me, like, somebody came, he met with somebody, a filmmaker, who said that his wife is a doctor, and it was before, like, debate. He said that he has, like, Parkinson's disease, a brain disorder that causes unintended or uncontrollable movements such as shaking, stiffness, and difficulty with balance and coordinate. This is what it means. But it means he said that he was told that he has Parkinson's disease. Then he said he Googled it and searched the meaning. So he said that he realized, he has all the symptoms of that one. It means after watching the debate, but he was told, and he says he predict he will go. Yeah, but maybe he will go, like there was a report last night, NBC News, maybe they will meet, but they will go. But who will replace him? That that Harris, the VP, and Kamala Harris, she is more unpopular than Biden. So who would take it? It means based on Amendment 25. So Vice President take the charge, like after President, but they cannot go with that one. They need to do something else within 5 weeks to replace it with one of their solid candidate. But I don't know, like why they drove Robert Kennedy. Maybe he could be a good candidate, but he has some bad past record. But he could be, maybe he would spoil their votes, and Trump would take it. But as per Mr. Kinsella, there could be uh, it means he believes, or many Democrats are worried, and many Americans don't want Trump to be the next president, because his NATO policies, anti-immigration, European Union, and there are like economy. There are lots of things he could destroy the United States and the world. Like Trump is a businessman and he does not care about anyone else but himself. So this could be a disaster.
Well, and he sits down and said, and that's the thing too. He's a big fan of tariffs, and but he tried to talk about how it's just like, well, we're gonna bring more jobs into the United States. But if you looked at the sort of import export, right, we're gonna export more, but the import export grew like apart. Like there was more exports that were taking place under his presidency. So it's like, and I think a lot of people I think it's the time where you just want a boring person. Like, I honestly think if the Democrats did get Pete Buttigieg as their guy, it's someone bland. Like, it's crazy that Hillary Clinton might not be the worst person to take it. But like, yeah, and you were saying Robert Kennedy, who's like another, like, because he's kind of crazy in his own little way. He talks about how he had brain parasites and all that stuff, which you're like, okay, and he's no spring chicken, Sammy. He's 70, is he 70 or 72? Like he's still, like, these are still older individuals that aren't going to particularly appeal to young folk. But I honestly, out of those three, if you were to ask me, like, gun to my head, Biden, Trump, or RFK Jr., I would probably go RFK Jr., which is like crazy. I never thought that I would actually say that, but it seems, and it'll be interesting to see too if they stick around with Biden, if Biden sticks through. And like, is Kennedy gonna do sort of that that surprise raw, Perot-esque thing, which could influence this election? That would be fascinating to see. But well, I was listening to CBC, and they were talking about how in 1968, up until 1968, Democrats insiders would essentially decide who the president or who their nominee was going to be. Like the delegate system didn't really exist up until then. And so they would sort of meet at a convention. Hey, we're going to pick this guy. Everyone says, okay. And like, that could be a possibility at a Democrat convention, that they say, we're just going to go back. But they stopped doing it because Hubert Humphreys was a terrible pick that nobody liked. And so then they wanted to give the power back to the states. But will they do that? I don't know. It's tough. Things are bad,
no
man.
one knows, because everything is dependent on US, like US presidency and who is in the office. So this could all depend on that. But who knows what will happen? Like if Trump comes back, so there is also another concern. If Trump comes back, so it would be more good for liberals and worse for conservative, because they will see what Canadian will see what's happening in the US, so they will take notes, and whenever they will go in the fold, so they will think, oh, conservative, a Republican is there, we don't need a conservative here, so vote for liberal.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think the last time that well, I think it's not
Yep.
as bad as like I was thinking that for a while,
Mhm.
but I think it's just the amount of hatred that Trudeau has, I think will
Yes.
will trump any of that
Yeah.
punish mildly intended. But I do think that we are if Trump gets in, yeah, it'll be a boost for more progressive parties. I think a lot of Canadians will be like, oh, but I still think that it would still be we're still sort of heading towards that, which leads into do you want to talk about the post-by-election, Sammy? You want to
Yeah.
discuss some of that post-by-election, that wonderful stuff there?
Yeah, Catherine Mackey, the most serious supporter and the Rocky minister in Trudeau's cabinet, she called out Trudeau to resign. This was unexpected. Yeah, we have seen Madam Jody Wilson-Raybould like replied a Globe and Mail report. Yeah, +1. She's calling it out too. And Dr. Jane Pelpot, she said that when in the past we have like wise leader, they always pass the torch. So it means three powerful ministers who served in Trudeau's cabinet who said, yeah, he should no longer be the leader of liberals. So there could be a concern, and also two liberal MP openly calling him resign, and also 9 liberal MPs wrote to Prime Minister for a caucus meeting. And where is Trudeau? Trudeau was celebrating like nothing happened in Markham.
Yeah, it looked like a heck of a party there, Sammy. It's interesting. I was thinking about that when I saw it. If Trudeau's numbers were, if he had like a 60% approval, people would love that video. Like people
Mhm.
would be like, "Hey, look, our prime minister's having a good time." Like nobody would really care, but
Yeah.
it's just like to do a
Mhm.
video like I don't understand what he's thinking. It's like the best thing for Trudeau to do is to not really be doing public things
Mhm.
because people are going to get mad at you. It's
Yeah.
like he could be saving a baby and people would be like, "Why are you doing this? You should be
Yeah.
fixing the country." It's like it is yeah. And yeah, the backbenchers were starting to get George Shao. Like there's
Yeah, there are
little
lots
names
of people.
and
So
it's starting to slow. And then Justin Ling
yeah.
ran that Toronto Star where he was in the CN or the rail station lounge, and then he's like, "Oh, that's Stephen Guilbeault, and he's speaking French, and Justin Ling can speak French," and so then he just sat next to him and listened to him talking to all these MPs about being like, "Yeah, well, what are we looking at? What are some possible things?" And you're like, and so like that, it's like every similar I guess there's lots of parallels happening between sort of Canada and the United States here where you're
Mhm.
having like this okay, not an optimal debate, don't worry, everything's fine, everything is not fine, and it's
Yeah.
calling more attention to it. And you have the by-election, liberals lose by 590, not optimal but everything is fine. And then and then it's just you have your his arguably Trudeau's right hand man, Guilbeault. They're pretty tight like
Mhm.
this. And talking with other MPs about that, backbenchers. And then you have Harjit Sajjan with that, using resources meant to help Canadians towards Afghan Sikhs. And you're like, this is just, it
This
is
is
just
just horrible. Like if you are in PMO and oh, I don't know what's going on. You have lots of scandal, a scandal after a scandal, a scandal after a scandal. I don't know what the hell is going on in Canada. Like why we don't have like tough laws. Like when you found guilty, yeah, you should go to jail. If you don't go to jail, you have to go to your home. But this does not happen in Canada. I don't know what's going on. We
yeah, like ethics violation, like being found guilty of an ethics violation should
twice.
probably call into should probably call into question your ability to like, and I think that this is like I usually run for the Rhinoceros Party. You
Mm.
know, we're a satirical political party. I like to have fun. Also, heads up, I do say a lot of things sarcastically. I read a comment that said for some reason that I wanted the leaders on our walls. That was sarcasm. I'm
Mm.
being very sarcastic.
Yeah,
I don't want that. But I think that talking with people, I think 90% of Canadians do want to have some semblance of punishment for like an
yeah,
action, not no more slap of the, like everybody that I talk to says, yeah, if you if you break an ethics law, you probably morally it speaks a lot about your character and
yeah.
your moral judgment that
Mm.
you think that it's okay to have these backroom deals and all that stuff. And it's like I think that it'll be neat to see what happens in the next little bit.
Mm.
If if particularly if well, it's more than likely Polyev gets in. Is he going to pass legislation that actually punishes people? Because that's going to look good, right?
Yes,
If you're going to start to want to show some action,
yeah,
pass those pass that legislation that actually throws. I think jail's a bit much, but I do think perhaps you are suspended without pay or like
yeah,
unable like you lose something because
yeah,
if I commit an ethics violation, I teach. If I commit an ethics violation, I would lose my job.
yes.
Like if I'm doing stuff like that,
Mm.
most people, any
Yeah,
job,
anyone.
if you do something bad enough, that
Yeah,
would be like, wow, you really seem to be a piece of garbage and
yeah,
you seem to not have good moral character. You
yeah,
will lose your job.
yeah,
But yet, for some reason, our politicians get a free pass. It
yeah.
doesn't make any sense. And so I hope, but I'm cynical. Of course, I'm very cynical, Sammy, and I don't think that. I think it'll be one of those things where Polyev will get in and he'll pass. I think he'll pass like a piece of lobbying act registration or to make it look a little tighter, but there's going to be loopholes and then they'll commit ethics violations. It's a beautiful thing. We live in a beautiful country where politicians can commit ethics violations all around. It's a lovely thing.
Mhm.
It's great.
Yeah, so yeah, I don't know why they do like this. I don't think in anywhere other Western world, if a leader like committed a ethics violation, he could remain because we have seen Boris Johnson. He did not resign, but he was kicked out, you know. But it means it happens anywhere other parts of world, but we don't see it in Canada. Like Trudeau broke first ethics violation in 2016, but he continued star. He continued get a bonus, raise, everything is going up, even though we have spent around like $30 million for his security. I think in 2023, CBC report was saying it means reported. So it means we are just spending after spending money after again and again, but we don't see any improvement. But this is bad. It means people like it mean millions of Canadian move toward food banks, while our Canadian Prime Minister spent $30 million for his security because many people are mad you cannot walk freely on the streets. So what the hell are you doing? You need to get out and you must have a sense. This is common sense. When people don't like you, you are going to resign. When you broke a rule, you will quit. When it mean in the you were saying giving a good example, if you break any rules, like you will lose your job. So this should happen. I don't know why everything is exempted from politicians. This is completely rubbish. Somebody must be in the office who will take these things very seriously and must brought up some rules and regulation, you know. Like you are keep getting a bump, you don't talk. Why the hell you don't talk when people can't afford one-time meal? Like myself, like I've been jobless and unemployed since January 2024, but you keep getting a bonus, you know, like though I'm not working, but I'm paying taxes whenever I will go to do grocery. You know, like it is terrible.
I know, but what about the dancing in Markham? This'll make things better, right, Sammy? I'll just go to Markham and we'll just do a little bit of a dance and everyone's
Yeah,
gonna love me again.
yeah.
Yeah, no, it is, and there is like Justin Ling again. He wrote a really impressive. He had a good interview with Trudeau, I think back in April,
Hmm.
where and it's a long form interview.
Yeah,
I think it's called like Trudeau's Last Stand.
yeah. I remember this.
Yeah, so it's in the Walrus, and it's a really good read. And he talks about how the intern like Trudeau's close. I don't think they know how bad things are.
Hmm.
Like they're that circle is so entrenched, and anything that kind of comes in gets filtered through all of these different filters. And when it finally gets to them, everything's been so sanitized that
Yeah.
I don't think they realize just what the situation is for a lot of Canadians.
Hmm.
And that's gonna that's it's another thing there where it's like, okay, you can keep committing these ethics, but people are tired of it, and I think it is. It feels like it's inevitable that you're going to have this gigantic loss, which and I initially thought maybe Trudeau should just stay on so you don't burn a good leader. That's somebody that could come in.
Hmm.
But I think if you're the Liberals, you need to turf Trudeau immediately. Like it doesn't matter. Get Freeland up there. Get somebody different. Like
Yeah,
and
you
somebody.
need a different leader, but also like Mr. Kinsella also said that if Trudeau resign and they will bring another leader, the poll will be very close. And what we are seeing now, we don't see it. But he said that everyone is saying it means he spoke with mostly with the conservative. Yeah, they don't want Trudeau should go.
No, no, 100%. They want him to stay. Oh
Yes.
God. Could it's he does stuff like the Markham thing. It's like you just lost a by-election in one of the safest ridings.
Yeah,
Your popularity is tanking. You had your old Minister of Defense in a scandal. You have
yeah,
all of these things going on. Everybody wants your head on a pike, and
yeah.
you go out to a thing
Mm-hmm.
and you're dancing
Yeah,
with like 45 security
yeah,
people behind you. It's like it's just it behooves the mind.
yeah,
It's like, is there any common sense left in this man? Like, it's like, what are we talking about here? And yeah, it just feels like you just need to stop. If
yeah.
you go away, things will be way better. And it could be like, that's what I had thought for a while was like, well, if you get Freeland, she was true, but like honestly, it doesn't matter. Like, just get somebody new in. It
Yeah.
could be Trudeau's best friend in the whole wide world, Stephen Guilbeault. They will do better. They
Yeah.
will make. There's only one way up from where they're at,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll see. I don't know. He's pretty hell bent on pretending. At least that's what the cabinet makes it seem like everything's a okay. Uh, but I think even with like a revolt, like what's I don't know.
I think
It's
there could be a revolt because those two MPs they are not seeking re-election, from Atlantic Canada. Okay, like liberal is solid. It mean that is a stronghold for the liberals. Usually, it mean they always won the maybe not all the seats, but most of the seats. And it means they could speak out. It means two MPs. Remember another, I think, a Newfoundland and Labrador MP called out for a leadership review. And then he was told by Freeland, I believe, that he released a statement and he said, "Oh, I did not mean that Trudeau should go and Trudeau is the best leader," and this and that. I mean, they are very frustrated and upset. Maybe those minister, everyone is. I believe there was another report I read in the L Times by mostly I L Times like mostly I read about Abbas Rana. So he always talks about what's happening in Parliament Hill. Like some MPs speak on the condition of anonymity. So you will always is mostly reports are like this. But some cabinet ministers are worried because he mentioned a minister. I don't recall his name, but he was a doctor. So it means if he would lose his seat, he could make that much money if he would go in a is probation. But many MPs or minister, they don't have such probation. They could make what they're making at this time. But it means my concern was, oh, are you just getting in politics for the money? Yeah, so that is the case. And yeah, for the power too. But these ministers, yes, they are concerned. When you lose a seat in the safest riding, if you were safest riding, it means you could lose anywhere. No seat is safe anymore. Like I was collecting data. It means I was just checking Leslie Churchill profile and seeing who has been campaigning there. I counted until 16 ministers, I believe total. They were including some MPs. It was around 20, but CBC reported over 20 ministers went to that riding, Toronto St. Paul, for campaigning Leslie Church. So they used every single tool to win that riding, but they could not do it. And I believe they knew they will lose. And thanks to Jewish community, they were frustrated with Trudeau because of the conflict the conflict between Israel and Hamas, because Trudeau was not entirely standing up for Jewish and Israelis, or Israel. And also Jewish are being attacked in Canada. They don't feel safe. It means today a synagogue was attacked. There were many were attacked, but we don't see it means a strict action has been taken by Prime Minister. It seems like he always mum on whenever it comes to defending Jewish homeland. So these are the things, these things making a difference, and it was.
Yeah, and there comes a point where if you're a leader,
Mm.
you have to decide a direction, whether or not, and it's that wishy-washy stuff where he's losing it on both sides, right? At the very least, if you're going to sit down and say that I'm going to be on Palestine's side, you're like, okay, great, cool, like awesome, at least but like it's this wishy-washy thing where you're not going to win anything. You have to have at least some semblance of conviction. And this leads all the way back to Trudeau with like the whole proportional representation thing. Like, it's like, okay, the committee didn't come to a conclusion. You're the leader
Yeah,
of the country. You
yeah,
have a majority.
yeah,
You need to make and I think that it's like I don't want to do. I might not make some people very happy, and you're like, okay, but like sometimes you're gonna have to do things like it's as much as some people might harp on Pierre Elliott Trudeau, with the War Measures Act, that people look back on that as a moment of like I think most of Canada was like, what are you doing?
yeah,
Like, wait, my rights are now put aside for the next like month and a bit during the FLQ crisis.
yeah,
But now looking back on it, it was a decision that people look back on as like a somewhat necessary thing. It's just you just have to do it. You just have to make a decision. Like I just want a leader. It would be so nice to live in
yeah.
a country where a leader can make a decision. But I don't. It feels like that's fewer and far between. Lots of pleasantries though. You get to dance in Markham.
Yeah,
There's two. Who needs to make decisions right now, Sammy? We got to
yeah.
dance in Markham.
Do you remember when he went to London, UK, for Queen Elizabeth funeral? Remember he was singing?
Yeah, we're gonna go to the piano and like God say, like, oh God. Yeah, that's a good decision. Like, what are we talking about here? Sammy, we need leaders that know how to let their hair down and
Yeah,
party and dance.
we need a leader who should not like I was reading today, like National Post. It was headline was like this: uh, uh a dancing Prime Minister Justin Trudeau steal the Markham show. I think it was something like this, a dancing Prime Minister.
Huge. That's all we need. That's all we need. Don't worry. Things are good. Canada's fine.
Yeah, Canada is doing great, like everyone is satisfied and everyone has a job and everyone is extremely satisfied. They don't care what the hell are you doing, despite like millions of Canadians can't afford one-time meal or they are unemployed and
That's little things. Don't
everything is
worry.
going up and
It's
and
fine. Don't worry.
and,
We're
and
dancing.
and 1 liter gasoline went up to $2.
Don't worry. That's Markham, baby. We're having a good time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it's
means
rough. It's
he is a attention seeker. Like he went India and he did something here, I believe. And there
yeah,
was a Hindu community or maybe festival. He was dancing. It means a prime minister. Yes, you must have sympathy. You need to visit to these individual communities, ceremonies, festivals, celebrate them. But there should be there should be a patron. There should be a role. You should not just bow down to them. Like change your entire face. You should not wear a costume like that. You should show them. Yeah, you are a G7 nation leader. What the other G7 nation leader would think about you. We were outset from there was I don't think it was an organization, but something they created, Australia, US and UK, and I think France was not included with that one, but there was something like that, but they excluded Canada.
Canada. Yeah.
They I believe these G7 nations, they released a statement on Israel at that time, but they excluded Canada. So it means, yeah, maybe there was a misunderstanding, but there was not, maybe not a misunderstanding. They did it intentionally to show you, yes, you are not a perfect leader, you are not doing enough. I mean, Canada always played a role. We saw in World War I and World War II, when things will discuss, yeah, Canada played a key role. And when they will observe like D-Day, yes, Canada played a huge role for defending it mean its allies, France and it mean
Europe.
other countries. Like, but today we will see, yeah, we Trudeau, like, I don't know, you read that report. It mean Trudeau told then NATO chief, we will never reach to 2% spending on defense. Why you cannot reach 2%? Why you are giving our money to China? China is a very economical power. They have enough money. They may buy Canada. I mean, they have enough resources. They don't need your money, but you keep giving your money to to those nations and other foreign nations. We are spending money in Africa, that in the beach. You you cannot use a toilet there. Like, what the hell is what the hell is going on?
Well, it's as I said, like if you're polling really well, and if
Yeah.
people like, and said like Trudeau was making these gaffes back in 2015, 16, 17, like stuff where you're like, this is cringy, this is embarrassing. But he was polling well and he was quite likable. And you can get away with a lot of things when
Mhm.
you're likable. Like, look at me. I have a job. I'm feeling good.
Yeah.
Life, I just gotta be like a lovable little idiot. You can get away with murder like
Mhm.
OJ Simpson. He's this wonderful, handsome gentleman and killed his wife and the butler and gets on. Yeah, that's you get away with a lot of stuff, but like when you're not liked, when your people don't like you, all of a sudden that goodwill goes away, just
Mhm.
like O.J. Simpson,
Yeah.
where all of a sudden he's not exactly Mr. Popular, and
Mhm.
now he's breaking into hotel rooms to steal back like merch and all that stuff, right? And then I think that's, we're at the point here where Trudeau is we're past the Bronco stage if we're talking about OJ. I'm coming up with an analogy on the fly here, Sammy, so bear with me. But right now, we're at the part of Trudeau as OJ Simpson, where OJ is about to go to jail
Mhm.
for the first time.
Yeah.
And then it feels like that's an inevitability, not Trudeau going to jail, jail meaning
Oh.
not being in power. Something like that. That analogy flummoxed pretty bad, but it feels like it feels inevitable. And yeah, so we'll see what happens over the next coming weeks. But I think, you know what? I think that's, I think that's all the time that I have.
Yeah. Okay, and yeah, thank you so much, Donovan, appearing again here and wishing you a very happy Canada Day to you and your family.
Yeah, you have a great Canada Day too.
Yeah,
Enjoy the beautiful weather. If it's beautiful, the
yeah,
weather's nice.
it
Enjoy
is
it.
beautiful.
Nice. Good. All right.
Yeah,
Cool.
you
Well,
take
take
care,
care.
sir. Have a good one. Yeah, bye.
Yes. Bye
Thank you.
bye.